Hello and welcome to In Pursuit of. My guest today is a development economist for the past 30 years. Nisha Agrawal is here with me and she is in pursuit of
unleashing women's power to create a more just, equal, and happy world.
wonderful. Nisha, that's a dream, so to
That's a
speak.
dream.
And you have written about this pursuit in
Yes,
your book, Her
that's
Right
right.
to Equality.
Yeah.
Do tell us a bit more about your book.
So this book is now about 3 years old. It was done at the time of the previous national elections. We brought lots of civil society, academics, NGOs, and people together to collect ideas so that they could be fed into the political manifestos.
Yeah.
So the book has contributions from 14 authors, 10 essays, and it looks at the broad spectrum of equality issues within the family, who's making decisions in the labor force, in the workplace, and then very importantly in the political space. So we've got a variety of ideas like that really cover the whole spectrum of what is needed to create a more equal and just society.
Wow. So, what are the key, findings from, you've put all these papers together, written by these various authors. So, what were the key findings?
So we drew on two things. One was a report that the government itself had done, the high-level committee on the status of women in India, as well as a global report that the World Bank had done, looking globally at issues of gender equality. Right. In a way, both of them came up with pretty much the same sets of ideas. One, this lack of equality is a global issue.
Right.
It's not just in India. Secondly, that progress is very slow and very uneven across time, across countries, and that many of these problems cut across all income classes. These are not problems of poor women or middle class. They are really about all women and all men in the world. Right. While there has been progress on some issues like health and education, where if an economy grows, there's more money available, there are more funds, and so everybody benefits from that kind of growth. On the other hand, where we are talking about power, which is a fixed quantity, and we have to redistribute it from those who have power to those who don't.
So, Nisha, it says the, title of your book says Her Right to Equality from Promise to Power. What is this promise? Who made it?
So the promise was made to us when we became independent, to all citizens of India, that we will create a very equal India and that we would not discriminate on the basis of gender, caste, religion, on the basis of anything, that everybody is a citizen and they have equal rights. And this is stated very categorically, and states were given the power for positive, affirmative policies so that they could promote groups that were lagging behind.
Sure.
That is what we hold up as our Bible to say, this is what we aspire to. We have this dream.
True.
And then the reality is we are not at 50%. If you take in equality, which would be at 50%, we are really stuck at 10 to 15% after 75 years. So whether you take seats in parliament, that's a good representation. We've gone from 5 to less than 15 over 75 years.
Right.
And we are saying we need to really put power at the heart. When we talk about equality, we can always talk about health, education, many things, but really we have to talk about power because it's decision-making power.
Absolutely.
Men have grabbed all the power everywhere in the world and they are absolutely refusing to share it with women.
That's true. So when you say the progress has been very slow, what is the reason? Is it cultural? Is it because there's lack of political will? Is it because there are social norms? Has anyone really understood what the reason behind this is? Is it religious?
In 2012 was the first time that the World Bank even looked at gender equality.
Seriously?
Yeah. So as economists, and I'm one, and we assume that if you can just get growth going in a country, as countries become more and more developed, that will take care of everything. So there's no special need to look at gender or other issues of that kind. Basically, we look at economic poverty. That, of course, we focus on people who have money and who don't, but we don't look at power, we don't look at status, we don't look at voice. And that report was a real shocker. I would say it was probably the first time the World Bank admitted that, oops, many countries have grown and developed in the last 50 years, and yet we find the same level of gender equality in them as we do in poorer countries. same levels of domestic violence, same levels of lack of representation. And
Give me an example of some developed countries which would have like similar this.
what gender indicates. So all of East Asia, I would say.
Right.
You know, Japan, Korea, they've become very developed in economic terms, very high standards of living. But if you compare that set of countries to the Scandinavian countries, women are much, much worse off. They have no voice really within the homes, in the workplace, in political structures, none of it, right?
Sure.
So you have to look at it as a special issue. And it was unusual actually that the bank was saying that, oh, there are these things called sticky issues that will not change with just growth.
Right.
We will have to tackle them separately. And the issues that are sticky, these kinds of issues, domestic violence, lack of representation, different jobs, men and women seem to be stuck in different jobs. You'll find many more male doctors and many more female nurses.
Right.
Or you'll find many more female school teachers, many things like that. So segregation of jobs, even in the same job, very unequal pay structures. These things are not changing really.
Right.
You know,
Right.
take the domestic burden of care. Who looks after children? In every country in the world, no matter how equal, women will be spending a much greater share of their time. Now, India, unfortunately, is one of the most unequal. Even though these are global issues, we are at one extreme of all of them. But they exist in every country in the world. And they said that these are issues to do with power being in the hands of men. And so if that doesn't change, then it can be another 100 years. Countries can all become very rich monetarily, but we will see the same inequalities that we do today.
You know, to me, what's more shocking is honestly that this report came out in 2012, which is not that far long back.
Right.
So, Nisha, I find it really peculiar that, you know, we're a nation which worships Goddess Durga, Goddess Kali, and then we have such a convoluted view of women, of girls. And I can't understand why there are these two.
Yeah, I think we have thousands of gods and goddesses. So some of them,
Yeah.
you know, are female.
Yes.
We are one of the most patriarchal countries in the whole world, which means that we value boys more than we value girls. You see that, for example, in our sex ratio, right? The power comes through our male descendants. So women want male children because without that, they feel powerless. There is nobody to look after them in their old age. All society gives them special status as the mother of a son as compared to the mother of a daughter.
It's true.
So everybody values males. And then when they grow up, they get better education. It starts from birth and it carries on through the life. That when you don't value the girl child and you don't value women, women in our society are very much second-class citizens. They really are not making any decisions if you look at anything, whether it's within the household or anywhere in society.
But have we understood why this happens and why are we so patriarchal? Because there are parts of India which are not patriarchal, you know.
You know, even the states that we think are very progressive, for example, Kerala, they have good health, good education, but you look at the domestic violence numbers, they're very high, despite the fact that women own property and so on. So they're really, it's not that easy to explain why we are like this. If you look at our very first, one of the oldest books, you know, that Manu Smriti that we refer to, which is laying out our rules for society and how we should govern. I mean, it is shocking. The women should just be looking down. They should never step out of their home. Thousands of years ago, we decided that we were going to really treat women as inferior beings. And we have continued with that tradition. So I don't know if it comes from, it's a mixture of all the things you're saying. Culture, religion, society, politics, economics. They all tend to then reinforce each other.
So if you were to give me a line, if I was to say, if every woman had agency and if every woman had a voice at home and outside, then
I think we would be living in a much, much happier world. You know, if you look at our indices, right, there are organizations that measure gender equality. So UN Women or the World Economic Forum, even they have realized that we are not really going to get economic growth if we are wasting the talent and the resources of half the population of the world. All of these, basically, India is, so let's say there are 180 countries in the world. We are never in the top 100. We are like 120, 130. So our health indicators are not good. Our labor force participation is not good. Our political participation is, so we are always ranking very low. If you look at the happiness index, right? we are as low on that because not everybody is not able to realize their full dreams and potential, to really spend their lives in the way that they want to be having control over your, we use the word agency, right? That you have certain dreams and you should have the power to realize those dreams. And only then can you really feel happy and fulfilled. And as a country, you would feel happy and fulfilled.
I have seen so many women who are so well off, so educated, yet they don't have a voice. And I'm just thinking that the kind of commitment they've had to their work, but they've had to leave it because of this very reason that, they are like, looking after the family, looking after kids. Really, it is the support system at home. That is the only way it can work. That's the only way actually, truly, that change can happen.
Yeah.
I had a working mom, and I think it's great that she was working because to me that's, that's inspiring.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw her working. I saw my dad supporting her studies when she decided to get back to work.
Right.
So, we all helped her.
Yes.
So with her
She was one of
assignments
the
and
lucky
everything.
ones.
So that was how it was,
Right.
I've even seen my dad making drawings for her. So I mean, it's quite amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nisha. It's indeed, interesting to hear all these insights from you. And we'll continue our conversation. Do keep watching and remember to subscribe to In Pursuit Of.